We were tasked with the way our district kind of did it was up until April 6th, we did not have mandatory classes for students. I think that was kind of in accordance with the Department of Education. So at the beginning, we had to sort of punt, right? Like, so the first week we didn't work, but then we had like a good 3 weeks of it, we called it engagement and enrichment. And so what we were trying to do was just going to be like the first point of contact for these families, and we didn't know what was going on. So it looked like this for us. Hopefully this is coming up, or maybe not. So what we did, and because it wasn't mandatory, we put together sort of, you can see like week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. We didn't know what was going to be happening. So we stuck with sort of the major standards for English. I'm a 7th grade ELA teacher, by the way, sorry. So we did a lot of posting to Google Classroom, and we did, reading, and we had some short stories and whatnot, and we gave them links for this. And a lot of like Newsella, we call it Newsella. It's probably News ELA. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. We did some common lit, some sort of applications that they could engage with, that we could see that the students were engaging and who was engaging in what. Because we just didn't, like I said, we were building the ship as we were sailing. And then we had some informational videos, and then because we were supposed to be reading, we were supposed to start the Wednesday Wars, which we eventually did, but it's about a 7th grade boy in Long Island in the 1960s. So we did some fun sort of little dance styles in the 1960s. So we had the kids sort of follow along, and we updated this every week. So there was that. Now I'm going to go back, and it says click to exit. Oh, it's loading. Sorry, it takes a long time when there's a lot of stuff going on. Sorry. But then on April 6th, the classes became mandatory. And so we were supposed to be introducing like these new standards-based materials. The big thing that was a huge difference for us was we have 3 teams. We have 330 or so kids in the 7th grade, and we have 3 teams, and each of the teachers is totally different. There's a 30-year-old woman. I'm much or slightly older than her, and then there's a male teacher, and while we all sort of read the same books and teach the same standards, we do our lessons in very, very different ways. And we were told that we were supposed to be delivering the same lessons. So this was like, all right, okay. So we had to come together and collaborate. And I think if there's anything that this has taught me, if there's a silver lining or anything, collaboration is amazing. And so we had to modify so that every single child could access this curriculum. So I want to go into sort of what we ended up with. My stuff is available. We did a lot with Pear Deck, so I was glad to see Tina did that. I know there are a couple questions about, wait a minute, isn't this like more for younger kids? Absolutely not. It's actually great in terms of being able to track the student work and understand what they're doing. And also they've just added a new feature that you can get back to them. It used to be that you could star their work and that would be their feedback, and you would have to sort of give feedback to them in other ways. But now you can actually give feedback within the app. And so I can show you actually. So this is a shout out to Danielle. She created this one. So the kids sign in. I'm not going to open up a Pear Deck slide for you, but what happens is the kids sign in, and this is kind of how we do it. So I'm going to kind of move down a little bit further. But one of the things that happens in the Wednesday Wars, and of course this would be something that we would be talking about in school, one of the things that happens in the Wednesday Wars is the assassination of Martin Luther King. And we're reading that right now, which of course is very timely. And it's something that, this is one of the things that we mourn, not being able to see our kids in person. So this is kind of how we got our kids talking about it a little bit. So there's like, you know, we gave them this story about like what happens on the flip side. Like there's, you know, how good and bad are often intertwined. And we gave them some story examples. And then we gave them, you can actually, you know, this is Walter Cronkite talking about Martin Luther King being assassinated. And then you can show them, you know, we had them say, you know, like, this is what happened in the book here. And what do you think? Is there a flip side to what could happen? And you can either, as a teacher, you can show them, you know, the other students' anonymous work. So if you want to get the discussion going, which God knows we all do, that's a great thing. But specifically this morning, I mean, this was like literally this morning, we didn't. We let them write in it anonymously and then responded to each kid as soon as we got off. And then, you know, that gives us an idea of if there are students who need help, you know, processing, or if, you know, they just don't want to talk about it, it's totally fine. The other thing that really, really helped us was like getting this, we had to do a weekly schedule. And like we have, you know, I'm sure that you guys have encountered this, is the executive functioning piece just goes by the wayside when you're at home. And so we after much ado, and it was really, really, really much ado, we, you know, kind of put together this weekly learning schedule. And we gave like an overview of the week with like all the links and everything. And then we broke it down like minute by minute for, you know, like which class needs what time, because we were supposed to be sticking to 20 to 25 minutes per time. And then, you know, there were the other big thing that we really worked together was with the special educators, the modifications. So in this template for weekly schedule, I would have, there was one week I had a version A and a version B and the other version. So for all the kids who sort of needed that help and needed, it's more like the nuts and bolts that we had the trouble with. But for me, I just, the collaboration and being able to meet with people, we have like a constant Zoom chat, a Google chat. We have Zoom meetings scheduled. We're on shared docs. We have all of this stuff. And then there was the other thing of, when do we turn off? I think that was a huge problem for all of us. Like, when do we turn off? When are we supposed to not be teachers anymore and actually like attend to our kids? We have, you know, the male teacher has a young kid, and he's like, and his wife works as well. He's like, there's only so much I can do. And that's exactly right. And all the rest of us have all of these, you know, interferences. But, you know, if a kid emails us, we want to make sure we're responding, because we're the first responders for these kids. So just being able to pull together and just be understanding of who is doing what. And I really just feel like, you know, some of the stuff was stated outright, but we all just sort of played to each other's strengths. And I guess that was, you know, the big takeaway from this, is just the importance of collaboration, you know, with my team, but also specifically with, you know, my PLC has been wonderful. And I want to just to give a huge shout out to Edulastic and everybody who organized this. And, you know, any questions or whatever, happy to answer.